The Seattle Seahawks have had their second day of training camp at the VMAC for the 2025 season. All right, good people, welcome back. Good morning. It is a Friday. We have made it to the end of the week just about here, and yesterday was another day of Seattle Seahawks training camp. I got a lot of comments on the video yesterday, and it seems like a majority of the comments suggested that I start doing the recap videos for training camp the day of. So I think starting today, I'm going to try that. Or, well, going forward from here. Obviously, I'm doing the video from yesterday's training camp now, but going forward, I think I'm going to give that a shot and see how it goes. If the videos seem to be doing better and it seems to be hitting a little bit harder, I'll probably try to keep that up. Sometimes I can't. Like, sometimes we just don't get enough information until it's pretty late. And if I don't think there's enough information for me to work with, I don't want to have to force something out there. But I think after this, it's going to be day of as much as I can. And we'll see how it goes. But we've got some training camp updates in this video from yesterday. Yesterday was also the first day of the season for the B&B show, or Talking Seahawks with the Hawk's Nest, whichever way you prefer to call it. If you didn't get a chance to catch it live, the VOD is on both of our channels. Go check it out. And went over 3 hours. We spent 3 hours talking about Seahawks stuff. It's pretty good. It's pretty fun. And it's going to get better as the season actually gets started here. As things start getting underway here, we should really start to have more to talk about. Right now, it's mostly just speculation stuff. But let's talk about this training camp stuff. Please click the thumbs up button on this video if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're new. Click the bell for notifications. Become a channel member for $2 a month. Those are the best ways to support the channel. All right. So day 2 was yesterday, and there were some notable things that went down. We've got a nice little roundup here. First, on the injury front, Shaq Griffin was back, which is pretty much what was expected. He was ill, so there was no indication that he was going to miss an extended period. But if there was any concern before, there shouldn't be now. Shaq Griffin did practice. Hankins remains out, and of course Nwosu remains out. There were a couple other minor injury notes. Shamar Jean-Charles sat out with an injury of some kind, but we don't have any information there. And Connor O'Toole and Justin Rogers also sat out, unknown why. But those are players that have long odds to make the roster anyway, so it's not exactly impacting things all that much, I don't think. Maybe Justin Rogers, because nose tackle's a little bit of a tricky position for the Seahawks right now, but overall, this is nothing to really be concerned about. All right, so the injury stuff to the side now. Let's start talking about some of the things that went down on the field. The general consensus was that the defense won the day, and get used to hearing that. The defense is going to win the day most of the time right now. They're the side with continuity. They're the side with the top-level players. They're the side that is just playing better right now and will probably be better this season. D'Anthony Bell had an interception. It was actually the only interception that any Seahawks quarterback threw on the day, to my knowledge. But he picked off Sam Darnold on a throw over the middle to JSN. And this is certainly notable because D'Anthony Bell is somebody who is, I think, safe in terms of his roster spot, but it's not guaranteed. It depends on how we feel about Emin Wari's ability to play some safety this year as well as nickel corner. Depends on how we feel about Jarek Reed. It's not completely locked up here. And that's going to be my main takeaway here. I'm going to try to take away the D'Anthony Bell side of things because that's great, right? Because he's also a very good special teamer. If D'Anthony Bell can make some kind of carve out some kind of responsibilities defensively, or at least show that he can do it competently, that's going to make it a lot easier for him to make the team. And here's Condotta reporting the same interception. He also noted that Byron Murphy had a good practice, had a tackle for loss on Charbonnet. Not that anybody's really tackling right now, but this all kind of contributed to a general sense that the defense did win the day. In the post-practice conference, Sam Darnold was asked about all the stuff going on with the defense, and he's basically saying that hopefully iron sharpens iron, and hopefully what we're going through right now, dealing with this really good and really tricky defense, is going to help us when the season starts. And certainly that's the hope, but the takeaway that I really have from that is the defense continues to win these battles more often than not, and that's totally fine. That is totally fine by me. That is going according to schedule, but you are seeing the indications that it is pretty one-sided right now for the most part. Now, there were some offensive highlights. There were some offensive notes to make. Mostly, the most positive I heard was about Milroe. But obviously, when Milroe makes a good play, he's not the only guy out there doing something. We had a Brady Russell diving catch on a throw up the seam. And this is obviously kind of becoming compelling here because Brady Russell is in a little bit of an interesting spot here. Because let me try to grab it here real quick. Yeah, Robbie Oots has seemingly already taken that fullback job. It looks like Robbie Oots is the fullback. Like, we like what we see enough to where we're just going to let him have the fullback job. Maybe it's a little early to say that, but second practice of training camp, as Greg Bell outlines here, the only guy working as a fullback in this session was Oots. Brady Russell was working as a tight end all day, catching passes. So therefore, if Robbie Oots if Brady Russell wants to make the team, tight end 3 has clearly become the way he does that. And it seems like the team is embracing that, and it seems like it's probably going to work out pretty well because it's either him or Saubert. I haven't heard anything about Saubert yet, and I've heard things about Brady Russell. Therefore, I can only assume that Brady Russell looks like the third best tight end on the team right now behind Barner and Arroyo. I mean, I like it because if Brady Russell can also offer a little bit of fullback flexibility, then that's one more thing you're taking care of without using another roster spot. But the more important note here for a lot of Seahawks fans is the Milroe stuff, where there were some good reviews from Milroe's performance yesterday. You have Nemhauser here making Jalen Milroe made so many plays with his arm that he did push-ups on the sideline after completing a 20-yard pass to Ricky White because the throw forced White to dive for it. So we are seeing some more good things there. He is doing the things that he needs to do to show that he can learn, to show that he can make the improvements he needs to make to become a capable NFL quarterback. Now, obviously, this is training camp. Defenses aren't really tackling at all. I imagine quarterbacks are getting to work relatively uninhibited. And he's also working with and against third stringers, I think. So I'm not going to go too crazy with it, but this is a journey of 1,000 steps, and he's taking the first few steps well. And that's all you can ask for right now, because again, other than trick play stuff, Milroe shouldn't really be playing at all this year for the Seahawks, and we shouldn't expect him to be taking all of those steps right now. And he doesn't need to, and it's not realistic to expect it. But it's good to see. It's at the very least a good start here. More offensive line stuff here. Obviously, this is going to be the stuff that a lot of Seahawks fans really hang on to. We've had more offensive line rotations. Oluwatimi remains the starter at center. Haynes remains the starter at right guard. But we're seeing rotations with Sundle at center and Bradford at right guard. So no resolution yet. You wouldn't expect it. The sooner we can get resolution, the better. The sooner we can figure out who the 5 is, the better, obviously. I think it's fine to rotate right now, but the sooner we get some kind of consensus here, the better. However, the one thing that caught me, that really kind of grabbed my focus with this tweet, was right here. Haynes got 1 series at center, and Sundle got a series at right guard, with the ones, apparently. That is very interesting to me, I've said it before, I'll say it again. To me, the best version of the Seahawks offensive line in terms of the upside is probably Haynes at center. If he can do it, that is probably the way this offensive line can actually become good at some point this season, not just passable or average, because Haynes brings some upside here that makes me want to get him on the field over someone like Oluwatimi, who I think is capped out. And I think he's capped out as being one of the lesser starting centers in the league. I don't mean to repeat myself. I've said this stuff before, but if you can get Haynes out there instead of Oluwatimi, there's upside there. If you can get Bradford out there instead of someone like a Lomea, yeah, there's a lower floor probably, but there's a higher ceiling. And I understand that there is some reason to stick to your higher floor, but the higher ceiling, it cannot help but call to you a little bit. Hopefully it turns into something. That would be something that would get me excited if they feel like Haynes can play center. I think that is the best route for this Seahawks team to take. Another note from Condota here. Torrey Horton, really good practice with 2 downfield catches from Drew Lock during team drills. So it looks like he's healthy. Looks like he is basically ready. So he didn't miss a lot of the offseason, which is huge. This indicates to me that he's going to make meaningful contributions this year. I believe in him. I like him a lot. I am high on Torrey Horton. I think that in this scenario, in this offense, there won't be a ton of opportunities for him, but I feel like with the injuries that you assume are going to happen in a 17-game season, you should be able to get something. And to hear this was great, because my one fear with Horton is he wouldn't be able to have a good rookie year because he missed too much of the offseason. Doesn't seem like that's the case. Here's the Robbie Oots thing that I already mentioned. It seems like they've committed to him as a fullback, and Brady Russell's been kind of pushed back to tight end. Makes sense. One note that a lot of people had was there was a lot of switching coverages on the defensive side of the ball, which I know that this isn't necessarily anything newsworthy, but I want to highlight this for a second. This is what it's all about. This is the benefit of bringing back almost all of your starters from 2024. This is the benefit of this being the second year. And this is the part of it that really needs to pay off. This is the part of it that really needs to come home. We need a top 5 defense here. We need that defense to be everything that was billed coming out of Baltimore. And I'm really excited to see something different. Like last year was different, but we didn't get to see as much of it as we might have liked because fundamentally there were still some problems with that defense. But this is the thing we haven't had since before Pete Carroll was here. This is the thing we haven't had in a long time that can really throw these teams for a loop. And by the way, just one quick side note here at the very end. You can see some of these players. This is Ernest Jones, and I think later in this clip, Tyrese Knight shows up signing stuff for people who are at camp. So if you go to camp, you may get to meet a player. You may get a player to sign something for you. So if this is a trek you are going to make this season, which I don't think I am. I've thought about it. I've done it before. It's fun. But I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it this year. Bring your pen, bring your helmet, bring your hat, bring your football, whatever, because it's a good opportunity. And that's really all I got from yesterday. It's a pretty good chunk of information, but it's not painting the whole picture. I acknowledge that. I admit that. And at the end of the day, it's just training camp. I've seen countless training camp warriors come and go that they don't translate to the actual football field for the actual games. I understand that, but we work with what we got. All right, I'm going to go and get out of here. Thanks for watching. Might be another video later today. We will see. Check out the Hawks Nest stream from yesterday if you haven't already. And go Hawks.